Hi, I'm Pete, and this is a tutorial for the 3x3x4 Mix-Up Plus from Wit Eden. The 3x3x4 is one of the interesting variants of the popular Mix-Up Plus series. It adds one split layer to the 3x3 Mix-Up Plus. Solving the 3x3x4 is similar to the 3x3 Mix-Up Plus, but it's different enough that I think that it's worth getting this variant if you enjoy the 3x3 Mix-Up version. What I especially like about this version is that a small change in how you scramble it produces two different solving experiences. The mild scramble produces a solve that's about the same length as the 3x3 Mix-Up Plus, though it is different. The extreme scramble, alright, a bit of hyperbole on my part, adds about 5 minutes and a few interesting steps in the solve. In this video I will cover both cases. Now, to get the most out of this tutorial, you should know how to solve a regular 3x3 Rubik's Cube. It will help if you have some knowledge of solving regular 4x4 cubes. Finally, it will be very helpful if you already know how to solve a 3x3 Mix-Up Plus. So now I'll tell you the names of all the pieces that I'm going to use. Of course, these are corners right here. This is a solid center, and there are actually two solid centers on the puzzle. There are also four split centers, split on the E layer here. So that's, I'll be calling those split centers. There are edges. This is a 3-layer edge, 1, 2, 3, and then there's the 4-layer edge, 1, 2, 3, 4. I sometimes call those split edges because, as you see, it's actually a bigger edge split in two. These pieces here are called inner edge pieces, and sometimes I'll call it a 3-layer, 1, 2, 3, 3-layer inner edge piece. And of course there's the 4-layer inner edge piece, 1, 2, 3, 4, or I guess a split inner edge if I need to refer to them as that. Now it takes some effort to get a good scramble on the 3x3x4 Mix-Up Plus. In fact, it's surprisingly easy to end up with a scramble that really has a trivial solution, and I'm sure puzzle enthusiasts don't want that. To get a good scramble, we have to take care to thoroughly scramble the 4-layer slices, and so it's worth taking some extra time to scramble up these 4-layer slices. Okay. I'm going to do that, and we'll do that, and we just try and get them as scrambled up as possible. The other thing that you have to do at this stage is to do the 45-degree turns to separate the edge pieces from the inner edge pieces, and that will give you the best possible scramble, because once we do the 3x3 scramble, the next step, it's not going to be possible to separate those out anymore. Okay, so I'm still scrambling away here. I have to be very careful to make sure that we don't mix up at this point 3 and 4-layer pieces. We just have to stick to the 3-layer pieces, so only do R2 or L2 turns. Now, as I mentioned in the introduction, a very small change in the scramble produces a very different solving experience. So, while I just call it extreme, it's really just for fun that I call it that. It really only adds a few extra steps and maybe about 4 or 5 minutes worth of work. So here's the extreme scramble, and the only difference in the scrambles. And the extreme scramble is that you turn one of the layers, the 4 layers, 45 degrees during this part of the scramble. And then you just keep going normally. Okay, and that sort of offsets the layers 45 degrees. You could actually turn another one of them 45 degrees if you want, and just keep doing the same thing. Okay, this actually, even though it seems like a very small thing, what it does is it separates the split 4-layer edges and really makes the initial part of the solve quite a bit more challenging. It just adds a few extra steps to it. Okay, and I'm going to be going through that in the solve. Now, if you want to just have a slightly easier scramble, then you just skip that step, so don't do the 45-degree offsets of this layer. And what will happen is that all your split edges will remain paired up, and it just you have just a slightly easier time of it. Okay, so it's entirely up to you. I call it extreme scramble, just as a fun thing. So we have the inner layers, the 4-layer layers, all scrambled up here. I put the extreme scramble on it. If you didn't put the extreme scramble, then nothing would be sticking out at this point. Now the next step is to get a good 3x3 scramble, and you'll do that exactly the same way we would do in the Mixup Plus. You're just going to do a standard Rubik's Cube type scramble here. Okay. And of course, because it's a Mixup Plus, you have to work on separating the inner layers and the outer, the inner edge pieces and the edge pieces. And that's how we do it. Now what I like to do here, just to kind of do it sort of systematically, you may notice that what I do is I turn the bottom layer, the D layer, and then do an L turn, and then do a 45-degree turn. And if I do that after every piece, what I find is it gives me a new set of inner edge pieces each and every time. Okay. So that's now this is the scramble that's going to. First we scrambled the 3x3 blocks, and now we're scrambling we're separating the edges and the inner edge pieces, and also mixing them up. Well, that didn't work so well. Also mixing them up with the 4-layer as well, and so I have to keep going here. Okay, so take a little time to do that. It's worth it, because otherwise you end up with a kind of a weak scramble, and you know, not really as good of a workout as this puzzle's capable of giving. Well, that's incredible that I got the same piece there. And again, okay, and you notice I have the same edge, and I just tumble it around. I use that technique quite a bit when I'm working on these edges. Okay, so it looks like I've separated out all of the inner edge pieces and the edges, and now it's time to do the classic mix-up scramble, where we turn one of the layers 45 degrees and then turn the other layer and kind of push all of the edges out of position. You don't have to turn each layer 90 degrees. You can turn some of them 45 degrees. Do some face turns. And of course, some of this work also separates out some of these little inner edge pieces as well. Okay, the goal here is to make something that would make a non-puzzle person cringe, or someone that doesn't know about the mix-up series are going to look at this and say, wow, how can you ever solve that? Actually, you might be saying the same thing too. I know I did the first time I saw something like this. This is absolutely wild, isn't it? Okay, well, I hope I've given the Mix-Up Plus a run for its money here. Okay, I think that's a good scramble, and we'll call that scrambled. So here is a mild scramble, and the way you can tell is that all of your split edges, your 4-layer edges, are joined together, so they're in pairs. Okay, and if you can find 3 of them that are in pairs, you know you have the mild scramble. And all this means is that there's just some steps that we get to skip that involve pairing these back up. in the extreme scramble. But the goal of the mild scramble is the same as it would be for the extreme scramble. So what we're going to do, this is the same strategy as the mix-up 3x3. You want to find an edge that's on top and a corresponding edge on the bottom. And we want to put a center, an empty center in the front right. So there's a center right there. And we put the center in the front right. And you want to put another center in the back left. Well, there was one there already, so there's a center. So back left and, whoops, front right. Yes. We have an edge on the top and another edge on the bottom. Now I oriented them this way so that when we put it down and over, it will be oriented correctly. And that's it. So the way you insert these edges is you turn the E layer 45 degrees counterclockwise, bring the M layer down, and then put the E layer back. So this edge has been put in place, and that edge has been put in place. Okay. And that's the strategy. You're just going to go around the puzzle. You're going to find faces where you have an edge on the top and an edge on the bottom. You might have to orient them a little bit. And you put a center in the front right and an empty center in the back left. And make sure they're still oriented. And just put them in just like that. Okay. And then you'll just keep going. Now, the rest of these are in place, but they're just misoriented. So, for example, this one has to be turned. And the way you fix that is do the 45-degree turn, move it to the top, orient it properly, and put it down. Okay. So you're just going to go around and do that. Now, I use the front right. You can use any corner you want. I just find the front right easier to use. Now there's one case that didn't occur on here, which is just really quite amazing, and I will show you that because it's a case that I get a lot of questions about. So this is a case that I think I've heard a lot about this, and this is where you have one edge that is left over, and you just have one center. And of course, if you've had this case, you know what happens. You try and put it in, and you end up with another single edge left over, and it's just sort of an endless cycle. So I'm going to show you the little trick for getting out of this, and once you know that, you'll be all set for all of the mix-up series. So what you'll do, get your one edge on top, your one empty edge. It doesn't matter if it's a split edge or a solid edge. Put your center in the front right, just as you usually do, and make sure it's in the front right. And then turn your E layer 45 degrees. Now, here's where things get different. Instead of putting this down, what you do is you take the top edge and you turn it this way so that it's oriented to match the edge on the right. And then you turn the S layer down 90 degrees to put this edge on the right here. And then you put the E layer back. And at first it seems like maybe it didn't do anything, but look, you have an edge on the top, you have an edge on the bottom, and you have two empty centers. And so you know how to deal with that, right? You're just going to take that center, put it in the back left, put the one in the front right, orient the top and the bottom, and just turn it down. And now you solved the problem. So this is the extreme scramble, and the way you tell is that some of the 4-layer edges, the split edges, you can see that they're split. They're an individual split edge. If you can find one, then you know you have the extreme scramble. In fact, they'll always be in pairs, so you'll either have two of them that are split, or I think it's possible to have all 4 of them split. But so this is where they're joined, but you can see here that you have at least one split. So this is an extreme scramble, so we're going to deal with it in the extreme scramble method. Now the very first part of the extreme solve isn't any different from the regular solve, the mild scramble solve. What you do is, our goal is to try and get as many edges in place as possible. The difference is that we're not going to worry about getting these split edges into place. We're only going to put either 3-layer edges in place, or we're going to put the joined 4-layer edges in place. Okay, so the first part of it is pretty much the same as your mild scramble. So what I'm going to do then, here's a slot, a center. There's another center, so I'm going to put it on the back left. What I've done here is I've identified an edge on the top, and I have another edge on the bottom. We want to have edges at opposite sides of the puzzle. I put a center in the front right, and I put the other center at the back left. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this edge in here, and I'm going to put this edge in the back left. In order to make that happen, I have to have them oriented correctly so that when it comes down and goes over, it'll be oriented. This one is correct, and that one's correct. If it wasn't, I could just turn the appropriate layer. So here's the way you do it. I'm going to turn the E layer 45 degrees. That's an E minus. Going to bring down the edge at the top. That's an M turn, and then we're going to do a E plus. And now I've put that edge in, and I put that edge in. Okay, so that's the procedure. That's how we're going to do this, and we're going to do it as long as we have edges that aren't being intact edges that aren't in their proper place. So here's one. Now it's a little awkward because it's alone, and there's a procedure for fixing that. And that is, I can kick out a split edge right here, so I can consider that to be an empty center. I have another empty center here. It's not really going to do much for us. What it's going to do is kick that one out, which is fine. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that in right now. And indeed, it kicked out that empty center, but it put the, or sorry, it kicked out this split edge, but it put that one in place, which is what we want. Okay, and it looks like I have the same situation here. So I have my center here, and what I want to put over here is that one that I don't care about. Okay. And I have to orient it properly. So this is the goal, is to get all of the proper, the full edges in place, including the split edges. And it looks like we've done that. Now I'm going to orient this piece here. It's in place, but it's just misoriented. So I just take it out, turn it properly, and put it back in. Okay, I'm not going to worry about that one. That one's also misoriented. Okay. So far it hasn't been much different from doing a regular mild scramble, except for the fact that our strategy is not to put all of the edges in, it's just to put all of the non-split edges into place. And to orient them properly. Okay, so now the next part of the solve for the extreme scramble is quite different from the regular scramble, the mild scramble. What we need to do at this point is to join up all of the 4-layer pieces, the edges and the inner edge pieces, and put them all on the middle layer. Okay, now in order to make this work, we have to make sure that our centers, our solid center is, we have one on the top and one on the bottom, and we don't. So we're going to have to go ahead, there it is right there, so I'm going to have to swap this center and that center. Okay, I don't really care at this point about what I'm breaking up here, because it doesn't really matter much, but I just want to get this on the middle layer. Okay. So yeah, I just have to go around now and join up all of the 4-layer pieces, the edges and the inner edge pieces. So for example, this one I have to find an inner edge piece. Sorry, I have to find a split edge. There it is right there. Okay, what I'm actually going to do is just, so I put the inner edge pieces on this side, the back left. I put the edge that I want to work on the front right, and this is pretty well straight out of the 3x3 Mixup Plus. I'm going to turn the E layer 45 degrees and then join those pieces up. Okay, now I know that I have another edge over here, inner edge piece. I'm going to turn this edge upside down, so now I can get at this other piece of it. I'm going to turn this one upside down and just do it again. Okay, so now that one's all done. Okay, and this is where I'm just going to go around. So this is quite different than what the normal solve would be, because this step, we have to do this step again later, but in order to make this part of the solve work, we really have to do this. You know, are there other ways to do it? Yeah, there are, but I find this probably the easiest to explain and maybe the easiest to see. Okay, how's this going for us? Okay, so that's okay. That one has to be. Okay, so we're looking for another one with 4 layers on the outside. So this has 4 layers on the inner edge piece. Okay. And okay, how are we doing? Okay, this one has to be fixed. I just have to find one more mixed up one. There it is. Okay, so all of this is part of the extreme solve. It's extra steps that we would be doing, and so it's kind of cool. It you know, it's going to take me maybe a little longer because I'm explaining it, but you know, I think maybe it adds 5 minutes when you're actually doing it. Okay, if I got this right, then now as long as my centers are oriented correctly, I should be able to move the inner layer, the split layer, and okay, so this is not oriented properly. Whoop. So I have to orient this one. Okay, and it doesn't matter what goes where, just you just want everything in the middle layer. And how am I doing here? Oh, another one that's not oriented. Okay. Alright, there we go. So now I have the 4-layer moving again, and it's freed up. Now, a strategy here is sort of to get to a point where to pair up as many as we can and put as many of these split edges as we can, and to then get to a point where we only have maybe one split edge and one center kind of mismatched, and to put them in their proper place. That's part 1 of the strategy. Part 2 of the strategy is to pair up these inner edge pieces so that they're oriented properly, because it simplifies the next part of the solve. Okay. Alright, well that worked out well. Those are nicely joined up. So really this is what I'm going to see is get as many of them paired up as possible. Okay, and so now what we have is over here we have this edge and this edge right here, and ideally we would like those joined together. Okay, now there's an easy way to do that, and in fact this is going to work out very well for us, but we're going to use the 4x4 edge parity algorithm. And what that does is it takes these two pieces and stacks them over here, and it takes this bottom layer pieces and it stacks them over here. Well, in this case this is not going to work. What we need is this piece to be up here and this piece to be down here. So I have to flip this edge around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that. Now I don't have an algorithm for flipping edges. I just push the edge out, and now I push it aside and I put it in upside down. Okay, so that's my algorithm, is to push it out and then put it in upside down. So now we have the edge and the edge and the center and the center. And when I do the 4-layer edge algorithm, we're going to have one completed edge and one completed center. All right, here we go. So that algorithm is DW, which is the bottom 2 layers, R, U, R prime, F, R prime, F prime, R, DW. Okay, so there we go. We got that. I think my explanation was backwards, but we have those stacked and those stacked. So now we have this jutting out here, and we have this jutting out here, and in theory anyway, all we need to do is just turn this whole upper part, which is true, except that notice now we have a problem with this inner edge and sorry, the center and the edge. And that's our next strategy. Now you may end up with this case, or you may end up with one where you have one of these and then you have a center over here, and but it's the same goal. The same goal is to get these two layers mirror symmetrical so that you can do that 180-degree turn and fix everything, right? So in other words, one of these is going to have to go onto the other side. Okay, so that's the strategy right now. So this piece is in the bottom layer and that piece is in the top. That's great. So let's decide that we want to keep that right here. That means then that this piece has to go over here. Well, how am I going to do that? Well, what I can do is, let's see how best to do this. Well, if I take this piece right here, which is I think that's where we want it, and flip it over, you know, it doesn't really matter. Now I have the pieces that used to be over there. If I do the parity algorithm, it's going to actually put one of these, actually I think it'll put it up there. The point is that I think it will actually put it in a way that it'll be mirrored. Okay. So I'm going to do the edge parity algorithm again, and this piece will end up over here, this one will end up there, and then when I turn this face back, I think everything will be mirrored and we'll be able to do that 180-degree turn. Alright, here we go. So it's a DW R U R prime F R prime F prime R DW prime. Okay, so did that work? I think it did, because now I'm going to turn this over. Okay, we have this one and that. We have this one and that. And I think it'll work. Now, if it doesn't work, you can always flip this edge around and it'll work. So let me just turn this 180 degrees. Okay, that's all lined up. And lo and behold, look at that. That's lined up. Okay, so now we have our edges nicely done. And now the next thing we'll do is exactly what we would normally do for the mild solve. We have a case where it's essentially one edge, one joined edge left over, and we have one center left over, and we're going to use that technique. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I want to keep this layer because we're going to have to come back to it. So otherwise I would normally just tip it up and then turn this sideways. Actually, yeah, I'm going to keep this layer. So instead I'm going to put this to the top. Now remember, we have the single edge case, and we can't just go ahead and put this in, because to do so we'll pop that edge out and then we'll be stuck all over again. This is the case of the one leftover edge, and the way you deal with that is you turn the E layer, you make sure that your one center is in the front right, and then you do you turn your E layer 45 degrees, that's a E minus, and then you orient the top so that it matches the right. Turn it down to the right, and then you turn your E layer back, and what we've done is we now have an edge on top and an edge on the bottom and two centers. Okay, so that's an easy case to take care of. We orient them, we put this one at the back left, and now we're just going to do a standard edge insertion technique, and that got rid of all of our leftover edges. Okay, so that's the first step and the hardest step of the extra work that's caused by the extreme scramble. But we're still going to need to work on the middle layer here, the 4 layer, because we have to now match up these inner edge pieces. So I'm going to put the split centers back because we knocked them out when we did that last maneuver, so we're free to move around again. And what we want to do is fix the situation we have now with this, where I have one misoriented inner edge piece and one correctly oriented. It is possible to fix that in the next step, the flattening step, but I think it's easier here, and in terms of the tutorial, it's a lot easier for me to just have one way of flattening everything rather than having some exceptions. So that's why I'm going to do this. But it's actually a fairly easy step. We have one single here, and I have one single here. So let me see. I'm going to flip this around. And what I need to do is flip this entire edge around so that this is sitting over here. Okay, so I remember I don't actually have an algorithm to flip edges. Well, maybe I do. I don't have a stated algorithm. I just go ahead and flip the edge sort of manually. So now I have this and this. They're in the same layer here, and these are symmetrical here. So actually, this isn't symmetrical. So what I want to do is I want to get something in here that I don't care about, because otherwise what's going to happen is this is going to get messed up. So what I'm going to do, I have flat ones over here. So let's see. Yeah, and I have flat ones there. So actually I can just do this 45 degrees and just do an L turn. There we go. Okay, so what I did was I made sure that these and these are the same, and those are the same. So now that I'm not going to do it any harm when I do the edge parity algorithm, I'm going to go ahead and do the edge parity algorithm, and that's going to end up stacking these two on the same side, and then they'll be in the same orientation. Okay, so DW R U R prime F R prime F prime R DW prime. Okay, and it ended up stacking them over here. That's okay. That's okay. And now these are the same, in the same orientation, and they're not going to cause us any problems. Well, let's take a look. Well, look at that. Solved everything. Okay, this is exactly what I'm looking for, because from this point on, we can treat this exactly like a mild scramble and just go ahead and do the flattening step part of the solve. Okay, so that was the extremes scramble. I'm glad I got a chance to show that to you. And when we come back, we'll join back up with everyone who's doing a mild scramble and flatten those inner edge pieces. Okay, so we're back, and now we're ready to do the next step, which is flattening the inner edge pieces. And this is the same no matter what scramble you had, mild or extreme. So what we'll do is we'll just start here. The algorithm works with, it takes one inner edge piece, and it doesn't matter whether it's a 3-layer or a pair of 4 layers. It takes one inner edge piece on the back of the upper layer, and it takes another edge piece on the front right, is the front right here. So this one and this one will be flattened. And one thing I want to warn you about here, this algorithm requires two edge pieces, one here and one here. So if you have a double like this, it's possible that you could end up with that being the last one left over, the last two left over, and it's just kind of awkward to try and split those up. So I recommend that you use the doubles first. Put them in the back whenever you can, and then I have a double right here, so I'm going to use that in the front right as well, and that'll just help to ensure that when you get to the end, you'll have two that are separated. Okay, so and yeah, so this one and that one will be flattened. Now the algorithm, this is from D. Kwan on the Twisty Puzzle forum. He posted this great algorithm, and I've been using it ever since, and it just works perfectly. So this is going to be an E+, so it's a 45-degree E layer turn, an M+, which is a 45-degree M turn. I'm going to do an F2, an M-, a B. Now careful, that's a 90-degree B turn. That's an M+, so 45-degree M turn. F2, an M-, and a B prime, which is a 90-degree B turn, and then finally an E- to put the E layer back. Now, it flatten this one. This one is just one that popped back into place as a result of the algorithm, and it's a double, so that's good for us. I'll put another double here. Okay, so you just keep doing this algorithm until all of the inner edge pieces are flattened. So E plus, M plus, F2, M minus, B, M plus, F2, M minus, B prime, E minus. Done and done. Okay, so we'll just keep going there. I'm almost out of, here's one here. I'm going to slowly get out of, okay, whoops. Oh, I see. I'm just trying to separate things. Well, anyway, that one and that one. Just trying to get a clearer view of the top here. Anyway, you just keep doing this until 2 at a time, until they're all gone. This is one of those algorithms that it would probably be very useful to memorize, because you do it quite a bit, and it's useful in all of the mix-up series. All of them, you can use this same algorithm to take care of the inner edge pieces. Okay. And yeah, one of those great algorithms that just does exactly what you need. Okay. And of course this works on 4-layer pieces as well. Paired up 4-layer pieces. It does something different on singles, and it's just, I actually cover that in my mix-up, my 4x4 mix-up tutorial if you want to see what it does on singles. It can be useful. Okay, we're getting down to the end here. I had a very different way of doing this when I first solved the mix-up plus, and as I say, I'm really grateful that people share their knowledge on twisty puzzle forums, because this certainly helped me out a lot. Okay, and that's it. The puzzle is flattened. The 3x3x4 Mixup Plus. All the inner edge pieces are flattened. The next step is to join up the 3-layer edges with the 3-layer inner edge pieces, and the 4-layer edges with the 4-layer inner edge pieces. So you probably, this is similar to what we do on the Mixup Plus, except that we don't care about colors at this point. All I care about is getting the right size piece. So there's an edge that goes there, sorry, an inner edge piece that goes there. So, and the way I do it is I put the piece I want to work on the front right, on the right side, and I put the donor piece on the back left, on the back, do a 45-degree E-turn, and I'm using my middle finger here, and then I just do an R-turn, and it puts the piece there, and whatever piece was here ends up over here. Usually I don't care about it until the last one, and then it swaps them. Okay. And the other thing I like to do is I like to work on a whole edge at the same time. So for example, I've paired up this one, and now what I like to do is just tumble this edge so that I work on the other side of it at the same time. It just helps me to sort of, I think, work a little more efficiently. Okay. And let's see, did I get everything? Yeah. Okay, so I got everything. So that was that step, a fairly short step. Now for this next step, we're going to do something with the E layer, with the 4-layer split pieces. And in order to do that, we have to get the solid center, the top, and the bottom in their proper places, 180 degrees apart. It doesn't really matter which, where we put it, but well, let's call that the top, and then we can call that the bottom. So now what I'm going to do is I have to swap this this center with that center, but I want to be careful now that I've paired up the inner edge pieces. I don't want to have different types when I do the swap. So what I'm going to do is this is solid, so what I'll do is I'll just turn this here so I also have a solid here. So this center and that center are going to be swapped. Solid, solid. I can turn this 45 degrees. And now when I turn it, I'm just swapping two solids. And I don't care about the colors at this point. But all I cared about was moving the centers. So now I have this center and that center. And now this is going to be my E layer. I already have a bunch of split pieces on that. And what I'm going to do now is get the rest of them here. Okay, and let's see, and then that. Now, the diabolical thing about the 3x3x4 Mixup Plus is that you only have one set of pieces, 4-layer pieces. So all of the algorithms we know about joining things and then putting stuff on the top layer, it doesn't work on this puzzle. Now I have to reorient the split center to get things properly moving here. And so that's, I really like this puzzle for that reason. At first it was like, how am I going to do this? But it turns out it's actually not so bad. So there are two ways to approach this middle layer, getting these joined up. Our goal here is to join each split, so I want to make this all one piece. This inner edge piece corresponding to the edge, and this one. Okay, I'm not trying to pair them up yet. That's another step. So what I need here, if I could find a green and a green, that would be great. Okay, and oh, there is a green and a green right there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this in the back left, just as I usually do. I'm going to put this in the front right, which means I have to turn this edge around using my rather wonky method. So there are two strategies that I use here. This is one of them, which is just to turn the edge, turn the layers around until I find pieces that line up. It's a little harder than it looks because the very act of turning things messes everything up. But that one worked out nicely for me. And let's see if I have any others. Yeah, here's an orange and an orange. There's an orange and an orange. Okay, this is actually a pretty good one. Whoops. Okay, so I'm gonna tumble this one. Okay, in my rather wonky way. I'm not really sure why. Okay, so now I have the orange here, and I have to get the orange and orange. And again, I'm just gonna tumble it. And I don't normally worry too much about getting the centers misoriented, because I can always fix them quite easily, but in this case I just went an extra step to make sure that they wouldn't. Okay, there we go. So this piece here is correct and that piece here is correct. Now it happens that they're all lined up, the top and the bottom part. That wasn't my goal. It was just to get this strip and that strip aligned. Okay, so the one trick then, or the one step, is just to kind of keep moving. So for example, I have blue and blue here. So if I found blue and blue, then that would be very, very helpful. But I don't have blue and blue. But if I notice here, neither of these blues goes with this these split edges. So that would be a good one to try and put in. So what I'm going to do then, you'll notice here I have a blue here and a blue here. So if I could somehow get those stacked on the same side, then these blues would help us out, right? So what I'm going to do is use the 4x4 Edge Parity algorithm to do exactly that. It'll stack these blues, and coincidentally it'll stack those two reds as well for us. But because these blues that I want to keep are right on this edge, what I want to do is I want to put them away. I want to move them out of here just in case one of them gets moved out of position. So I see over here we're not going to harm anything. If I actually, we will harm something. Okay. Actually, this one right here. So what I'm going to do, okay, and then I'm just, so basically I've just put this in, okay, and it will break that one, but I'm not going to worry about that for now. Actually, will it? It'll break those. Oops, I shouldn't have done that. Okay, so basically I made a little mistake. I turned the corner because I was thinking I was going to do those. I turned the edge. I'm actually going to put them over here by using a left turn. Okay, there you go. So now they're safely out of the way. And so now I'm going to use my 4x4 puzzle edge parity algorithm to stack these two and to stack those two. Okay, and that one goes, it's DW, so the bottom half of the puzzle, R, U, R prime, F, R prime, F prime, R, DW prime. Okay, and what we've done is we stacked those two, and that's exactly what I want to do. So that's the other strategy, is just to use this algorithm to move the edges and the inner edge pieces around as you need them. Okay, so now I have these blues, and I should have another set of blues. There they are over there. So I'll bring these back. Now I normally work on the front right here, which means I have to tumble this edge around. And I'm going to do it in such a way that I don't rotate the center. Okay, so that was a lot of explaining just to get those paired up. It goes a lot faster, of course, when you're not trying to explain things. So it would be nice to say have a red and a red here, but I don't see that. But I see that these are kind of out of sorts. So actually, it wouldn't hurt anything if I somehow stack this red, say, and that red over there. That would actually work out quite nicely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this edge around. Okay. And so I'm going to use the edge parity algorithm now, not necessarily to affect these, but to stack these two reds together so that I can then use them for this to fill in these two reds over here. So here we go. DW, R, U, R prime, F, R prime, F prime, R, DW prime. We've stacked those two reds together. And let's see now. Alright, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to flip this around so that they're in the back left. Now I have to flip this one around. Maybe if I was a little more flexible, I might be able to do it on the other side or something like that. I'm not that flexible. Okay, and there you go. Okay, so this is a strategy. We're just going to keep going around here until we get just a couple left to go. Now, one of the things you might notice is that this green, this is already done, and in order to fix this, you'd have to put a blue in there. Well, one of the strategies you can do is if you find, for example, a blue here, see a blue right there, if you could somehow get this green over here, well then you could actually use that when you flip it. That would actually not hurt the green, and it would actually fill in the blue. And that's actually a particularly good one, because this red could probably go in there. So I think it would be good to use the edge parity algorithm on this so that we stack this one and this one. The problem is that this has to be on this side in order to make that happen. So I'm going to tumble this edge. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to what did I do? Oh, the blue's over here now. All right, well, okay, that may not work then. Okay, well, I tried. So I have a red and an orange. That's a red, and then yeah, the orange would be quite nice actually. What's going to happen if I do that? Those will be stacked. Yeah. Alright, well, let's see here. No, that doesn't really help me much. Green and orange. Orange and orange. Okay, well, maybe we can come up with an orange and an orange. You see the difficulty of this. It really is quite a challenge. So I'm just going to give it a couple of turns here and see if I can get something else worked out. Okay, this might work out quite nicely for us because these greens, if I can stack these, I see that we have greens over here. And one of them's already green. So I'm just going to try that. Okay, so now I have those two greens. I have these greens here, so I'm going to flip that around. So those are the greens there. Then I'll flip this around. In such a way. So, and now we have a green here, and now I've paired up both of them. What have I done on the other side? Well, I didn't actually hurt anything because there was already a green brought over which matched the green that was there, and I actually filled in the other orange at the same time, so that actually worked out quite well. So as you're going through this, at some point you're going to get to a state where there's only a couple of these left, and I think that's where we are. Yeah, there's only two mismatched ones left, and so what you need to do then is get them on the same face. You can get them on opposite layers, that's okay. And you notice that when you get your last two left, they'll always be opposites, right? This one goes there, that one goes there. Well, what we need to do now is replace either that color or that color. So if we could replace this one with red, then that would work, or we can replace that one with orange. Okay, and you know, it's really, there's no no right or wrong answer to that. What I can do, I want to replace this with orange, so I can bring this slice over. Okay, and let me see here. No, that didn't work. Okay, because what I saw was that there was an orange here. Let's see. So I would have to somehow have an orange right here. Alright, can I do that? Okay, that doesn't look... Let's see here. Okay, that didn't work out. Can I put a red over here? Well, that actually looks pretty good, right? That red right there could go right there. So what I would need to do, I'm going to hide the red away. So now it's up here in the upper layer. I'm going to turn just the bottom slice. I'm going to bring the red back. And now I'm going to turn that bottom slice. So let's see how I did. That's the one we want to replace. Okay, so this is actually looking pretty good. Now, as a matter of fact, now it's got exactly what we want. All I have to do is put these on opposite sides, and I think we'll be ready to go. So let's call that one the back left, which means I have to turn this around here, and I have to tumble it. Now the only other consideration might be that if they're not right side up, so we have red on top, blue on the bottom, sorry, red, blues on the bottom, blues on top here. Okay, if they were not upside down, then it would cause a problem, but we'd have to figure something else out. So we solved that one, and we're done with the middle layer. That part of the middle layer solved. Okay, so no one strategy, but just use slice turns and use the edge parity algorithm to pair up both the edges and the inner edge pieces. Okay, so the next step is to pair up the split centers. This is a pretty quick step here. We want to make sure we have the solid top and bottom center, and the split centers are all around, and that the middle split layer is free to turn. So our strategy then is we're going to use the same strategy that's used in putting centers in the 4x4 puzzle. So for example, this green here, if we want to pair up the greens, I'm going to put this green on the same slice as this other green, and this could either be here 90 degrees away, or it could be on the other side. It doesn't matter. What you do is you take the one you want to pair and you shove it out of the way. All right, then you do a 180 degree turn and then bring the slice back. Okay, so now we've paired those up. Okay, and you're just going to make sure all 4 of them are done. So these ones are already done. We have a red and a green here. So we have a red and an orange here. Those are done. So there's my orange. There's my orange. So I'm going to pair up the orange. And what I do is it's on the same slice. So I'm going to turn it, in this case, 180 degrees to shove the existing one out of the way. Do this 180 degree face turn and then bring the slice 180 degrees back. Now that's paired up, and they're all paired up. Okay. So that was a fairly short little step to get those centers paired up, and now there's just one more step to deal with the E layer here, and that is that now we want to pair up the edges, the composite edges where we have the edge and its matching inner edge pieces, and we want to pair those up. And I'm sure that you may be thinking, well, we have 2 of them done now, which is great. If they weren't done, if they weren't that way already, what I would do is I would take, I would just do face turns to try and put the ones that are done on one side of the puzzle, because that's what we want to do. So now we're just left with these 4 split edges, and in fact they belong to each other. We know that. Okay. So what we need to do is, this is green and red here, and that's green and red. So these 2 need to be on the same slice opposite each other. This orange and blue has to be opposite this. So I have to turn one of these edges around, and that's what I'm going to do. So you may be able to guess now what algorithm we're going to use, and if you haven't guessed now, I will spoil the surprise. We're going to use the Edge Parity algorithm, because it will stack these 2 and these 2 on the same sides of the puzzle. So the Edge Parity algorithm is dw r u r prime f r prime f prime r dw prime. Now those are paired up, and in fact all of our split edges are paired up. So now from here on out we can consider these to be the same as just 3x3 edges. Okay. So that's that part of the solve. Well, we have the split 4-layer edges all fixed up and turned into 3-layer edges, and now it's time to do the same thing on the actual 3-layer edges. So now my goal is to match up by color the 3-layer edges with their inner edge pieces. So for example, we need an orange inner edge piece here, and there's one right there. So I'm just going to use the standard, put the piece that I'm going to put in on the back left, the piece that I'm fixing up on the front right, 45 degree turn, and then an R2 turn, and those are matched up. Okay, and I'm just going to go around and do that. Now here's one where we can actually, this one goes there, and there's a little trick that you can use. You do it once, you don't really care what's on the back, turn the edge over, do it again, it puts it in place. And actually if you turn the edge over, in this case it's not going to help us, but if you do it one more time it fixes everything and puts it completely back. In our case we'd like a red to go there, so I'm just going to find one. Okay. And then just keep going around the puzzle until they're all fixed up that way. Here's another one where it has a piece that we need. Oh, actually, well, that's interesting. Okay, and so now I'm looking for a blue. And let's see here. Okay, there's a blue. There's actually a couple of them. Okay, and this is the same as you do on the 3x3 Mixup Plus. Okay, there we go. Almost there. There's my yellow. And now this is the very classic case where the two pieces are flipped around, and that's the one where you just, it doesn't matter at all what you have on the other side. It's going to get fixed. You just do it 3 times. Okay. And okay, and now we'll look on the other side, and indeed we didn't hurt anything. Okay, so I'm looking around the puzzle. Looks like we're done. So now what we have is a 3x3, just a standard Rubik's Cube. In fact, we have a 3x3 that turns really, really well. I really like the way these Whit Eden puzzles turn. So we have one little detail to take care of before we do the 3x3 solve, and that is to put the centers back in place. We have the white here, which now I'll start thinking of as the bottom. So I want to put the yellow up top, which means that I have to swap this yellow center and this split center. In order to do that, now that we've matched everything up, I have to be careful to use the same color and type of piece. So these are white here, so that's on one side, and so I want to put a solid white on the other side. It doesn't matter what you use as long as this piece and that piece are the same color and type. So now I'm going to turn that 180 degrees, and we didn't hurt anything, and now the yellow's on the top, white's on the bottom. And now I have to make sure that my centers are correct. So from the top, from yellow, it's blue, orange, green, and red. And blue, orange. Let's see. So blue, orange. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to swap the blue and the orange here. That'll help. And I've just put the solid white on both sides of them. That's, for me, the easiest way to do it. Okay, so blue, orange, green, and red. So, wow, this very rarely happens that I have to switch all 4 of them, so that's kind of interesting. So now I'm going to swap the red and the green, and let's try it one more time. Blue, orange, green, and red. Yellow's on top, white's still on the bottom. If you forget this step, especially the E-layer one, what's going to happen is when you go to start putting your corners in, your corners and edges, you won't be able to fit them in. They'll be upside down. Kind of funny, actually. So we have to make sure that our E-layer pieces, or centers, or split centers, are oriented correctly. They go horizontal on this puzzle. The other variant, they go differently. Okay, so there we go. So that's the first one in. And now this green, I'm just going to bring this green up, so I turned it sideways, and then that's correct now. And I can put that one in. And so now we're pretty well into a standard 3x3 solve. I have my bottom cross. And then this next part, I'm just going to use F2L techniques. Friedrich method is what I use. There's no particular reason to use, just use whatever method you like, whatever suits you. And yeah, that would be it. Now, there are 2 parity cases that we get on this puzzle, and what's interesting about it is that one of the tough parity cases to deal with on the 3x3 Mixup Plus is not there. You'll notice we didn't do a test solve, and that wasn't a mistake. That's actually, we no longer have to do a test solve on this puzzle because the parity case that you get, we didn't have to do a test solve because the parity case that we get on this puzzle is very easy to solve because we have this 4-layer split layer. So this is last layer. Okay, and we don't have the flipped edge parity, which is fine. I will still show that case, but you'd see it at this point. One of the edges would be flipped over. And now we're just going to just do our standard last layer stuff. Okay. Okay, the other parity case that we get on these are the swapped edges, and you'll see that right in this step. And indeed, we have the swapped edge case, and I'm kind of glad that I get to show you this. Now, the swapped edge case shows up in two ways. You either get two adjacent swapped edges, or you get opposite swapped edges. The fix is the same in either case. This is the case that we used on the 3x3 where we had to do the test solve. We wanted to see if we had that, so we had to do quite a bit of work in order to see it. And then the fix was quite destructive. On this, it's great because we have this middle layer, and I'll show you how we're going to use that to get out of this. So whatever case you have, put one of the wrong edges on the right, put the other one either on the bottom or on the left, it doesn't matter. And now what we're going to do here is we're going to use this as our front face, and we're going to do an odd layered cuboid face flip parity algorithm. So what we're basically going to do is flip these two edges right here, and that'll give us an opportunity to do a 3 cycle at that point. Okay, so the odd face flip parity algorithm for the cuboid goes like this. It is U2, R2, F2, U2, F2, R2, U2, F2. And what that did for us was it flipped this and this edge, which means we now have a 3 cycle, and I'm just going to go ahead and do a 3 cycle. It also gave us a parity on this edge, which is perfectly fine, and I'll show you why after I do this 3 cycle. Okay, so now I fixed my last layer, and now I have to deal with this parity. Now, if this was a 3-layer puzzle like the Mixup Plus 3x3, we would have no way to fix this because we would do the same algorithm and end up with a parity over here. The beauty with this 4-layer puzzle is we can now apply the even layered face flip algorithm to flip these two edges and fix the parity, and that is a clean algorithm. It doesn't cause any other parities. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that right now. And that even face flip algorithm is this. It is UW2, so the whole top half of the puzzle, R2, F2, and now what you're going to do is you're just going to move this slice 180 degrees. The way I do that is to move the whole top and then bring the top layer back. But basically you've done a little U 180 degrees. Okay, so just that slice. Then an F2, R2, and now a UW2. Okay, so that was the cuboid even face flip algorithm. We flip those two edges. I say the face, but it's such a small face. It's just this middle layer here. And we're done solving the Mixup Plus 3x3x4. Now stay tuned, I'll show you that one parity case with the flipped edge. So here's the other parity case that you're going to see on the Mixup Plus, and this happens on all the Mixup Plus. This is the flipped edge parity. You have one of your edges, and you'll see it after you do your top cross. You'll see that one of the edges is flipped. So if you could sort of picture this, looks like you would have an anti-soon here. Now you can go ahead and do the fix algorithm right here, and there's no problem doing that, or you can wait and you finish off the puzzle. I actually like to finish off the puzzle, and I can just sort of imagine if this was correct. And so I have an anti-soon. I'm just going to go ahead and do that. So it's okay. And okay. And now when you're doing edge orientation, if you go ahead with this route, you have to remember that this is flipped around. And so we're going to do our, edge permutation. I guess I should have said. Okay, so there you go. And one more. And now it is possible to have both parities, both the flipped edges and the flipped edge and the swapped edges. In this case, we only have the flipped edge, but it is possible to have both on the puzzle. They're both very high probability cases, are both 0.5, so your chances are very good you're going to have at least one. So we're just left with this flipped edge, and I will go ahead and show you the algorithm. Now I got this algorithm from Andrea on Twisty Puzzle forums. It works perfectly, and and that's it. It doesn't cause any other issues. Now I might do it just slightly different than what she posted, but it has the same effect. So the first step is an S+. That's a 45-degree turn of the S layer, and it goes from the front, so this is positive. And now it's 4 turns, and I will warn you, these are 90-degree turns, so watch that. So that's an R, and it's an E. That's a 90-degree E turn, and you're going to do 4 of them. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that was 4 of those. Then you're going to do a U prime. So anti-clockwise 90-degree turn of the U layer. And now you're going to undo what you just did with the E and R. You're going to start with the E, 90 degrees, so E prime, R prime. And then 4 of those. So E prime, R prime is 2, 3, 4. You're going to do a U and an S prime, 45-degree turn of the S layer. And there you go. We're done. The 3x3x4 Mixup Plus from Wit Eden is an interesting variant of the Mixup Plus series. I hope you enjoyed watching this tutorial, and I hope you have fun solving your puzzle. I do put notes and algorithms in the description of the video. You might have to click the show more to see them. Now, if I skipped a step or if there's something I didn't explain well, please leave a question in the comments and I will do my level best to answer. I really enjoy reading your comments and suggestions, so feel free to leave comments. I really look forward to them. That's it for me. Thanks for watching.